This is the sound of the Killa beatbox body part sample pack. Over 120 loops, samples, and one-shots for your music production. Exclusively on Splice.
Yes.
What are you saying when we get up then?
Yeah, it's lovely, man.
Yeah.
I like it. It looks authentic. Do you feel strong?
I feel strong. I feel, I feel zen.
You look it. You look it, man.
So we've come correct today, clearly.
Yeah. We're on now. This is it.
We're running. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Killa podcast, right? And in this minute, right this now, inside the house, is a good friend of mine, the anonymous, but the most notorious, the DJ cut and paste master, the producer extraordinaire. Would you make some noise? Well, don't make any noise. Just show your appreciation from out there, Mr. Jaguar Skills.
Yo.
Mm-hmm.
What's up? Word up.
I'm good. How are you?
Yes, good.
Yeah.
Very well.
Where you travelled from?
From a studio, secret location studio.
You're all about these secret locations, aren't you?
Yeah. It makes it sound more glamorous than it is, man. I think if you start everything with a secret location,
Yeah.
just sounds better, doesn't it?
Yeah.
All around.
Like a good comic.
I was down a little shit studio just down the road there.
Yeah.
Making an average song. Like, no one wants to know. No one wants to know about that.
They want to know it's the Bat
average,
Cave, isn't it? It's the Bat Cave. It's the
Exactly.
kind of secret location where only the most marvellous medicines get made. Right?
Exactly.
So this is a touch. So you tell me Maharishi makes this stuff.
Yes. Yeah.
How many have you got?
Well, it kind of like from the very first one to now, there's been like maybe this is like version 12 or something. So there's been loads of different versions to get it right. You've got like version 7. I'm wearing the latest 12. I think.
Okay.
But yeah, man, you need to get it right and have it fitted right and have the right material and shit because you're jumping around and it's fucking hard to breathe in. Like the very first one was a Swedish military one, and it was made out of like industrial wool. Shit, man, it was fucking crazy.
But did he just scratch you or something?
No, it was like this military wool, and it was really smooth and everything, but man, it was just fucking hot, you know.
Full on.
Yeah, just so crazy hot. And I remember just taking it off, and it was breathable, right? But your eye part here, this is where all the sweat came out of.
Yeah,
so like it was like water coming out of my eyes, and I took it off, and all the rest of it was like really white and like dry.
Yeah.
And it just had this fucking great big red.
Yeah.
Bleeding eye kind of section.
I always feel the closest comparative, I guess, would be a Dead Mouse or a Slipknot. Slipknot,
really.
Yeah.
Like Dead Mouse, I always thought, you know what, like...
He's probably got air conditioning in that piece,
Well, he's probably got a bar, hasn't he? And like a couple of chicks serving drinks and stuff.
On board.
He's got like a little bar. He's got like a little TV. He's got like the chill out room.
Yeah.
He's got a chill out DJ in there. That's where they've gone. Where the chill out scene's gone, man. Remember every club had a chill out room where they'd play like funk and
He's got that.
That's where they've gone.
Retina display, blink, 2 blinks, can you get Facebook
He's got
up?
this other DJ who does his set for him whilst he kind of does his Instagram. Do you know what I mean?
And I can remember like Corey, what's his face from Slipknot. I don't think he has quite the same experience under that.
No, they've just got like piles of shit. And a couple of dodgy hookers.
You know the Tom photo on MySpace. You know the one that's going around where he's in a bit of a mess. That's what I think of inside the Slipknot.
The Tom photo.
Yeah.
Man.
You know what I mean?
Has anyone like fucked around with that Tom photo? Like brought that Tom photo back?
They need to bring it back into.
I'd wear a t-shirt of that.
Yeah, hands down. Hands down. That's yeah. You need.
Would you do that?
Yeah, totally. You must have quite a sober night with this thing on.
Well, you would think so, wouldn't you?
Yeah. Well, can you get drink?
I've stopped drinking now.
Yeah.
But there was a point where I used to kind of duck down and pull this down and have a couple of shots or whatever.
Yeah.
But then it got to a point where I would just get the bottle, just stick it straight in.
Suck it through.
Because look, you'll find it's quite breathable.
Yeah, massively. Dude.
Yeah, so you could actually do quite a lot. You can smoke, you can drink through that.
See that? It's got a lot of give. Like you
Yeah.
And I'm gonna take it off because I'm feeling quite rude to the bovine public. So but very
It's quite good. You can kind of put it around your neck, have it as a little kind of
totally
a thing.
I mean, I recently got mugged down the road. Right?
Did you?
This is how I'm rocking now. I'm going
Did you?
straight ninja. Yeah.
What happened, man?
Yeah, I got knives pulled out of me.
You're fucking kidding me.
Yeah, luckily it didn't take my phone or anything. My wallet didn't get taken either.
So they didn't take anything?
Nah. They took my jewellery. So they can take that karma with them, motherfuckers. But yeah. So now I've got this. I'm going to rock this,
You'll just get arrested by the police.
Yeah, and that's the irony. The ones with the knives, they get off.
Yeah,
and then I'm the one with
the ninjas get arrested nowadays, I think.
But let's go back, because we've known each other for a good while in different guises, in different superhero outfits.
Yeah, exactly.
I think, we bantered on this one. I'm thinking maybe late 90s. We were hanging out.
97?
97, that's right. And let's go back there.
19 years ago.
Yeah, dude, because I think for anybody that's kind of stepping into the Jaguar Skills octagon now, it's like you're a force to be reckoned with. But there was a journey for this. There was a lot of kind of think tanking and ideas that were kind of kindling that, and through circumstances, you ended up being this dude.
Yeah.
Talk us through that beginning. So Paddington, Fat Boss magazine, editorial.
Yeah. So my dad was a DJ, right? And he was a radio producer,
right?
And I always grew up around records all the time. So in fact, my dad was the guy who I believe found David Rodigan, right? So David Rodigan didn't have a radio show or anything, wasn't on the radio. My dad started was going to produce a reggae radio show, needed presenters, and found David Rodigan and this other guy. I've forgotten who the other guy was.
What?
So Rodigan used to come around my house when I was a kid with my dad, and they used to look through records and shit, and yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah, it's quite funny, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like,
so how's your pops now?
Well, he passed away. My dad's passed away like 10 years ago.
Oh, okay.
But he was like maybe like 10 years older than Rodigan.
Wow.
And he always used to, you told me the story about how he found him and how much Rodigan knew about reggae,
Yeah. So when you hear stories about Rodigan and there's naysayers and people that aren't quite sure about the reputation and history of Rodigan, you can say categorically like he's the bona fide.
Well, all you need to do is go onto YouTube and check out some of the sound clashes and shit that he's done. And what the fuck, man? To go to like some crazy Jamaican shanty town
and just
on your own,
roll out
and just shut it down.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck,
Balls
man?
to the wall,
That's like inspiring as a DJ for me.
Yeah.
Like to see something like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And especially kind of looking how he was. He looks,
his whole demeanour, you wouldn't think.
It looks like the craziest guy in the situation, doing these kind of sound clashes, and he totally fucks with them, shuts them down.
He's passion.
He's amazing.
Yeah, man.
Right, so that was the thing. It's like I'm trying to remember the other DJ, but there was there's loads of stories. My dad, there's a lot of stories, but I don't know if I can
love it.
fill them out.
But it inspired you.
Yeah, but that was the thing. So I was always around loads of records. We didn't live in a kind of big house or whatever, but like everywhere was records in my house. Like vinyls everywhere, man. Piles of vinyls, and we used to have like vinyl dealers come around, and my dad would get like, he'd have like white labels of like crazy shit, like. So and I used to be, I somehow like memorized the covers. So when the dealer would come round, my dad would I'd get the pile and I'd go, yeah, we've got that, we haven't got that, we've got that, we've got that. You know, like at 7 years old, right? And I'm sorting through the vinyl,
God.
and he'd go, okay,
You're the prospect, dude. You were the prospect that just knew.
yeah, exactly. So like, it was crazy, like thinking about that, but like,
Yeah.
And then when like hip hop, when I started to get into hip hop, I would, you know, like, and you would have the record sleeve, and it would say who sampled.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, for instance, there was a sort of Tropical Quest album. Look at it. Oh, it's this jazz guy. I would then go into my dad's collection. He would have the fucking break. He'd have the, he'd have the sample on the vinyl.
The original.
The original. So then I started discovering like soul and jazz and funk and disco. And there's, like he'd have all the original joints. He'd have all these sound effect records and the BBC Symphonic Workshop and all these library records and just like all these crazy fucking records. So that's how my kind of musical knowledge started, I guess.
That's amazing. Were you based in London?
No, just outside London. But yeah. So then I never really thought about it, but like that's how it all. Yeah. That's how my knowledge kind of came across, and then I just started.
Extremely organic.
Yeah, and then I didn't get into university, and I was really into the Source magazine when it came out. I loved it, man, and I thought I fucking want. It's like naive, but like I did it. Like it was like I want a magazine because I love the Source magazine. I wasn't a journalist and I was shit at writing, but I thought I want a magazine. So I just made one in my mum's garage, stapled it up. I interviewed this rapper called Blade and this other group called Catch 22. Yeah. Remember them?
They're from Manchester, right?
No. They were from.
That's Crispy Free.
Crispy 3, yeah. It was on the Cold Sweat label.
Yeah. I remember Catch 22.
Yeah. What would you? That was British hip hop, right?
To me, that's definably like the era of British hip hop. You know, I was having this conversation about the term Britcore. I can't remember who I was speaking to about it.
Britcore would that be like gunshot?
Gunshot, yeah.
Hijack,
yeah. Kind of that more kind of alarming Bomb Squad style sound.
Yeah,
isn't it?
exactly. But now, did that turn into drum and bass?
Kind of did, didn't it?
Yeah.
It had that kind of amen, but then they just sped it up a bit more.
Because everyone was trying to copy Public Enemy, basically.
Essentially, yeah. Yeah, and Rhyme Syndicate, that kind of era. Yeah.
Did you ever go to Camden to 5 Star General?
Yeah, what was the name of that dude? The guy that owned... He was a dog. He used to try jeans and shit.
They were all bootlegs. Were they all bootlegs?
I like to believe they were. Because
I got a staff Tommy Boy jacket, Carhartt jacket. Yeah. Do you remember them? They were. That was the shit. And I remember buying some Lynch Mob T-shirts, Ice Cube Lynch Mob.
I'd kill for one of them though.
Yeah, I know. They're amazing logos. And see, that to me, man, that kind of era where you would have amazing logos and artwork with the band, and it was like you couldn't like find that. There was nothing online. There was no internet.
No.
There was nothing there to kind of. You had to go and search for these things.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, that's right.
And like places like, was it 5 Star General?
5 Star General. There was a couple of others, but when you talk about the logo and branding, I mean, Fat Boss definitely had that as a magazine, and Jaguar Skills. You know, the whole kind of Thundercat thing. Like you've been really brand conscious.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Only because there was another thing my dad collected, which was comic books. Right, so we had loads of records and we had loads of comic books in the house. Right? So when I started my magazine, I wanted it to be like a comic book. And they're just like, I guess, it wasn't really conscious that I was doing anything. It was just like, I wanted it to be like I wanted the headline, or the name, the magazine was called Fat Boss. And I wanted it to look like a comic book, that's all. And when I started doing Jaguar Skills, I just wanted it it to look like a superhero or like
Gotcha.
not even brand it in a way. It's just I like big logos.
Yeah.
I'm into that. So I just couldn't. So I came up with the name and the logo before I even started DJing. Like that's what I came up with first, and I drew.
And you forged everything around
Well,
that.
I thought like what it actually was I wanted to. When I stopped doing the magazine, I didn't really know what to do. And I was doing some of the artwork and stuff for my magazine, and I got a few little design jobs here and there.
I used to love the artwork on that in the magazine. For me, it was one of the key things about it that I loved.
That was my main thing.
Yeah. It's like a comic in a.
Yeah. It was like, and I assumed that everybody buying it already had like a real working knowledge of hip hop anyway. So I never actually interviewed any MCs or DJs or anything and asked them about hip hop. I was looking at the magazine actually a while ago. It's like, shit, I didn't ask any hip hop questions. It was like, if they were talking about, because this was the time of super lyrical shit, right? So you'd have, for instance, Cannabis, right?
Yeah.
Being interviewed. And I'm asking him about all the science and shit behind his lyrics. Like, actually what scientists, he was talking about certain scientists. And we got into like remote viewing and shit, and like real deep kind of stuff that he was talking about. And then I interviewed the head of remote viewing, Dr. Ed Dames. And then I got into all the conspiracy shit. This was like 20 years ago. You
It's sophisticated, man. It's
I was friends with David Icke, for instance. So it's like I'd go around David Icke's house and we'd talk about shit, and people thought he was fucking nuts. But I just thought it was kind of interesting. It's fucking interesting, man. And I just wanted interesting shit. So for me at the time, Hip Hop Connection were talking about hip hop shit. When is your album coming out? Who influenced you? What was your
the usual stuff? Yeah.
Yeah, and like, I guess I wanted it to go down a different direction, which kind of commercially wasn't really the one.
The one.
You know what I mean? But yeah, so but that taught me how to market something, how to create something from scratch, the process of how quickly your ideas can start and how you can kind of maintain your own creation and be your own boss. You know what I mean? Starting a magazine from nothing. And then at the end, you know, we had like 40,000, 50,000 pound revenue every month coming in from adverts and shit. But it cost that to fucking print.
Of course.
That's the crazy thing.
Like in them days,
So like, that's mad, right? Yeah, so we go into Jaguar Skills. I made this mixtape and I didn't want my writer's name. I didn't want my journalist name to be on this mixtape because I knew that everybody in the scene
would make that association.
Yeah, would make that association.
Do you think it would taint it?
Yeah.
Okay. Right.
Because you know what? Nobody loves a journalist in hip hop at that time.
Yeah, I get you.
They fucking hated journalists for some reason.
Nowadays, everyone's a journalist.
Yeah. The whole thing's about journalism, really, isn't it?
Essentially.
But like, they fucking hated journalists. They would do songs specifically to cuss journalists, right? Wouldn't they? Like in magazines and Billboard and the editor. And fuck that guy. This fucking journalist, and they would even have like songs about British journalists. Like, you twisted my fucking words.
Yeah. Even when you've written something good about them, they still find a way to.
I would used to write the exact fucking words they came out their mouth, exactly the same. And the amount of MCs that would call me up, go, fuck it, I never fucking said that. Never in my life did I say that. You know, I was threatened loads of times. I had a fucking knife pulled, like they pulled a knife out on me once, and
a
lot of bullshit, man.
Yeah, but you did. That was that time, wasn't it?
Yeah, and that was the thing. It was like, yo, I love hip hop. I love what you're doing. Why the fuck are you threatening me?
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
This is a public service. It's
I don't need to. You're selling like 8 records, man.
Yeah.
I don't need to do this. No one else is going to fucking interview you.
Yeah. I get
you know, and I'm giving you like 5 pages in a magazine, and you're threatening me still.
Yeah.
And so
that's the way it was. That's the way it was back then.
And I was just felt like, yo, like, I'm more creative than this, you know. And it was a certain thing. Was like I feel like when I was in the studio, certain times, I felt that I could make a better beat. And that was the conceit of it all. I didn't really didn't know how to use any of the machines or whatever. But like I think through kind of osmosis and me hanging out with the best DJs in the world and the best producers in the world, being able to interview Biggie Smalls and Tupac,
and learn their set skill through their conversations,
like meeting them, you know, and like meeting Big L and meeting fucking hanging out with Proof and Eminem, and like going into like D&D Studios with DJ Premier for 10 hours and him showing me how to make a beat whilst they're recording Big L.
Mad.
You know?
Get the fuck
That's
out
mad,
of here.
right? And like him going, yo, you know who sat on that chair? Big Daddy Kane, Biggie Smalls, and you being in the mix, and then Guru comes in. I swear to God, Guru comes in, and he's like, yo, who's this kid? And then Primo said, yo, he knows about music, man. We're gonna have him here. I was rolling joints for them. And then he goes, yo, Preem doesn't ever show off these jewels to anyone, man. He's showing you the jewels, kid. And he was telling me how he made Can't Stop the Prophet. Because I'd got the original record, and I said, I know how you did that, man. He go, whoa. I go, you got to start
them
of this
fighting
tune.
words, man.
Yeah, you got the start of this tune, and then the end of this tune, and you put it together. Dun-dun-dun, dun-dun-dun. It was like the end bit, and that was the start of the record. So, yo, how'd you do? He's like, fuck, how'd you even know that?
Like respect level goes up.
Yeah,
then you have a conversation.
And then he was like, yo. And I think we made, I don't know if it was this tune called Flamboyant, but he made that in front of me with Big L was there. And they recorded some shit.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's too much for me. That's mad.
Yeah, that's crazy, right?
That's crazy. And you was in there D&D just
Yeah.
That's like it's not just every rapper's dream. That's just like
It to me like defines New York hip hop at that time. D&D Studios, Primo, fucking Big L, and Guru comes in. That's crazy, right?
It's too much. It's too much.
Fuck,
it's
man.
New York in a bottle.
Yeah, broke as well. Just
you were broke?
Yeah, totally broke.
What was your motivation and drive at that stage?
Well, it's just like, yo, like I'm fucking 20 years old. Record label said, hey, do you want to interview Primo? And I'm like, yes.
But you knew you wanted to, but with the whole, your background on DJing and wanting to get involved, like you're saying, you know, all these things that came into your world and influenced you. Like, at what point were you like, you know what, I've stepped down from doing the magazines. You know, I'm going to re-up, go. What then? How did you get to the DJ part?
Well, I got this gig. So anyway, I did this mixtape, right?
Yeah.
And I didn't want to have my name as a journalist on there, right? So I had a kind of nickname of Skills, right? Mm-hmm. For whatever reason. And I was trying to sample shit. So like I really like mixtapes that were like cut and paste. Let's go. Right. So like all the early
Return of the DJ kind of shit.
Yeah. But kind of before that, I had this friend. They were called pause button mixtapes.
That's it. Yeah.
Right. So what you would do, you had your tape players. You had two of them in a sound system, and you would record one, play a tape, pause it, rewind it, let go, record, pause it, let go.
Nimble.
Yeah, so you do this shit, right? And that would make a loop, right? And then maybe you would record stuff from TV and shit. And like, it was always a thing, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Cut and paste mixtapes, right?
I think we all did it at one point or another as kids, you know, trying to loop something to scratch your rap over, wasn't it?
Yes. It was the only way, right?
It's the only way.
So I was kind of into that, and I was always recording stuff. I had this like handheld recorder, and I would always record stuff on TV and shit.
Mm-mm.
And anyway, I was kind of trying to come up with a name, and there was this. Anytime anyone said skills on anything, I would have that. Right? I'd just copy that.
Mm-hmm.
And so there was this martial arts movie. And also, I love ninjas for some reason. The aesthetic for ninjas. When I was a kid in the 80s, it was just ninja crazy. There was a time when...
Turtles. Manga.
Yeah, even kind of pre-Ninja Turtles, there was this kind of like thing of like these shitty B movies. See, I was into martial art movies.
Oh, original feature movies sort of thing.
Yeah, like I was into like all the Wu-Tang shit. You know, and all those kind of B movie.
Definitely, yeah.
Kind of crap kung. They were like a big part of hip hop, wasn't
That's right, yeah.
It's like
totally.
Like your kung fu movies.
It was a big part of the MTV culture,
Yeah.
wasn't it? You'd always see the commercials with like a bit of graffiti and then a kung fu flick. And
Yes, exactly.
You know.
So it was kind of like smoking weed, kung fu movies, and hip hop. You know, that was the kind of teenage dream of what 90s hip hop was really, wasn't it? And
that's right.
And anytime they would always say,
do you want to see my skills?
"Oh, he said skills." He said, and there was this ninja movie called Ninja Terminator, and there was this section. So there was this guy in it called Jaguar Wong, right? And he was this character.
Hey, that's Jaguar Wong.
Like he was like this detective, right? So there's this bit where he comes out of this building, and there's all these thugs, right? They go,
Jaguar Wong.
he's like,
Yes.
they're like,
We're here to teach you a lesson.
like that, right?
Yeah.
He goes, oh, so you want to see some of my Jaguar skills?
They're like, yeah, and he beats the shit out of them. So he said skills. So I was like, oh, he said skills. Got the thing, and I couldn't get Jaguars out of it. So it was like War Skills. I couldn't chop. I couldn't get the
weren't too
clean
quick enough, yeah.
skill. I couldn't get it because he was like,
Jaguar skills. War skills.
it's like, fuck, man. My buddy was round at the time, and I've got this thing in the background.
Jaguar skills.
And I'm sitting with my friend. I was like, man, I need a name for this fucking mixtape, man. And he looks at me and he goes, Jaguar Skills. And this thing in the background, Jaguar Skills. It's like, how about that?
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
he goes, I think it sounds pretty cool. I was like, yeah.
Should have stated the obvious, but you know.
I'm like,
yeah.
All right, Jaguar Skills. And then I got on to thinking, okay, well look, it's got like, you know, I sampled in this mixtape this thing. There was a Das Effects record where it was like 1 for the treble, 2 for the show, Thundercats.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
right. There was this thing. I cut it up. I thought that would be cool to have Jaguar Skills. Ho, there's a thing, right?
Sick, yeah.
So I drew the J and I put the Thundercats logo on the J.
Dude, yeah.
And I had it like a comic book, right? And then, like through my journalistic research skills, I managed to find the original voiceover guy who did Lion-O in Thundercats, the main character who said the ho, and got him to record Jaguar Skills Co. So the ho on my little jingle, whatever, that's the original guy.
Legit dude.
Yeah, that's the legit guy.
Fuck.
So that was crazy. So I thought it was kind of all magical. Do you know what I mean? All this kind of shit, like everything that was happening easy.
Like we were saying.
Yeah.
It has to feel easy, right?
Yeah. So if you're going in the right direction, usually shit just kind of fits into place.
Yeah.
And then and as well, I was playing a lot of Grand Theft Auto at the time, right? So I was playing Grand Theft Auto, and they had this amazing thing in Grand Theft Auto. When you're in the car, you've got the radio stations going on, right? You've got these fake adverts, all this fake shit going on, but it sounds so amazing. So I found out the guy who produced all of those, it's called Laszlo. I emailed him. I was like, yo, can we make an advert for Jaguar Skills? He's like, what the fuck? Who the fuck are you?
Yeah.
And I was like, look, man, I'm a fan. How much would it be for you to make a Jaguar Skills advert?
Yeah.
He goes, what the fuck is Jaguar Skills? I was going, it's just this DJ. It's a ninja DJ. Right? Because it's like, I was looking at it from like a magazine point of view where it's like, it's not me. It's like I'm making this fucking thing.
Yeah,
like,
it's your persona. But you
it's
don't.
not even my persona. It's like as if I was making a magazine. So it's like what it was going to be. It was going to be Jaguar Skills, right? And Jaguar Skills was going to be a movie that never came out. Came out in the 70s, right? And it was going to be a ninja movie that never came out. And this is for the first time a reissued soundtrack from the ninja movie Jaguar Skills.
Oh my God.
Right. So that's how I viewed it.
Yeah.
Right? So that's why I could think about all the ninja shit, because it was like, it's a ninja movie, so I can make it kind of funky in 70s and all the shit that I'm into. I can then do the cover, and it doesn't have to be me in a fucking mask. It can just be the logo, like a 70s movie.
Yeah.
And that's what I was going to do. So, and I wanted to have like adverts, like done in the 70s style.
Yeah.
Like all the blaxploitation films or the kung fu movies at the time. And I knew that Laszlo would be the guy to do it. But I don't know, like the fact.
Yeah.
So anyway, we spoke on the phone for an hour or so. And then he was like, look, dude, I just need to get somebody else to speak to you because I'd love you to do voiceovers for the game.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, really? And he was like, yeah. So I'm an English guy on the Grand Theft Auto 5.
Yeah, get the
I was
fuck
like,
out.
Wonka. There was a couple of other ones that I did for him, but that was weird.
Yeah.
It kind of came out of nowhere.
But again, you've fallen into this world where you're going in the right direction, and it feels like it's
Yeah.
somewhere.
And like, I don't know, I never had a exact direction. Like, I'm making this kind of weird soundtrack thing.
Yeah.
Getting on stuff that I like. I wasn't a DJ at the time. Yeah, and that's how that kind of all.
Wow. And then this is where it all started crystallizing, I guess, with the DJing and the records referred to when you was a kid and the cut and paste thing.
Yeah. It kind of got to a point where I was I was living in Spain, right?
I was just going to say that because you moved out there, didn't you? And
Yeah.
You kind of started cutting your chops in residencies, didn't you?
Yeah.
That's
Because there's a guy called the Barefoot Doctor. Have you heard of him?
No.
He's like a Taoist guru, kung fu teacher, and but it just got to a point for me when I stopped doing my magazine. I was doing this thing here, and it just like I wasn't making any money. You know what I mean? And it was just like I don't know what to do. And I was DJing a bit in bars and stuff. And I also, as I've been so involved in hip hop, I kind of lost touch of that, and I kind of, it changed a bit.
Your attitude to it?
No, the sound of it.
The whole thing, right?
And you know, at that time, it's like you have to be a fucking b-boy, and you can't listen to anything else, and you can't
backpack kind of thing.
You can't like fucking house music.
Yeah.
You're mad, like,
Yeah.
like especially house music.
Yeah, totally.
You know, and you can't, and I'm listening to music that I like, and I kind of want to make and I had this urge to make music as well.
You're seeing it as one and the same, music-wise, yeah.
Yeah, and so I ended up, I was DJing, and I didn't have any skills of cutting, but like I knew all the hip hop records. I had all the hip hop records. I knew all the fucking joints. And I also knew all the joints as well from the 80s, from all the pop music as well. And I knew all the soundtrack records, and I knew all the samples, and I just suddenly knew. It's like I kind of got to a place where I was a real knowledge in music. Didn't have any skills at all, and I never DJ'd at all. But at that time, if you knew me, I always had a backpack with vinyl in it, because I'd just gone to a record store and they've asked me to review records, or I'd got promos, or I had tapes.
Yeah.
I had all the tapes, man.
Dude, I always remember you with a backpack.
Yeah, I had a backpack with all the fucking tapes, right? And like, fuck, man, I got like, I mean, I was getting tapes sent from I got Illmatic 4 months before it came out on tape. Right? From the fucking studio.
Yes.
Isn't that mad? Like Illmatic, man.
Dumb.
Damn. So this bar was like, I walked, there was this cool bar in Kingston Road, Jaguar Shoes, Dreambags Jaguar Shoes.
That's right, yeah.
Right?
Just off Kingston Road.
Kingston Road,
So,
right?
yeah.
And I came up with Jaguar Skills before that. It was just they were called Jaguar Shoes.
I remember Jeff Metal used to do stuff in there a lot.
Yeah. So I walked past there, and they were playing my mixtape, and I went in there, and I was like, "Yo, I did this." And they were like, "Oh yeah, cool. Do you want to DJ here every Friday?" I was like, "Yeah, fuck, do I?" That was the first time I'd ever DJ'd ever. So I bought my records, and then I started playing records, and people were dancing, and I started playing like 80s pop music.
And mashing it up, sort of.
Yeah, well, just kind of playing it alongside a Jay-Z record or some beat, something, something else. Like, and then I realised this is what I was supposed to have done, man. And I was kind of annoyed that I'd done all the magazine stuff and all that, because it was like, at that time, I just thought that was a waste of fucking time, man. I should have been DJing from day one.
I think back then when it come to magazines, it was like it just always felt like it was a silent crowd of people that the only time they'd pipe up was when they were critiquing it.
Yeah.
It was never like I'm telling you now how good it was, and I'd like to think that resonates on a level of why it was worth doing.
Yeah.
But I know that feeling when you feel like, well, that was a fucking big old waste of time. But it's part of a journey, isn't it?
Yeah, of course it is. And like meeting all the people who I met behind the scenes, all the record labels, and saw how that worked, Like I worked at Rawkus for a while, when it was popping. Like,
Yeah, I remember you doing that.
Yeah, and it was like, like meeting all of these guys who now are fucking super legends. But like, I met like Jay-Z 4 or 5 times. I interviewed him a bunch of times. I was at Abbey Road Studio with Jay-Z and Leo Cohen and Dame Dash whilst he recorded a thing for DMX. That's fucking mad, isn't it?
This is crazy. Like your history referencing is nuts. Like,
yeah.
You'd never know that underneath the mask.
No, I know. But I mean, it's just certain times and places, and it's like, especially in those times when it's pre-internet, there wasn't many magazines for the underground hip-hop stuff, really, was there?
I mean, can you imagine if they had what they had now with Fat Boss being...
Well, we've got this now.
Yeah, it'd be a whole different world,
Yeah. But
all them photos you've had with different people, they'd just be up on Instagram, and it would be a no-brainer that people would just associate you with those sorts of...
Yes. Yeah. But I was... Well, just hanging out with those guys kind of really influenced me in terms of making music and DJing and the whole thing. And when I started DJing, it was just like I'd seen my dad and David Rodigan DJ, and I'd seen all these things and it just came so naturally, man.
It didn't take
No, it was nothing, and to see I remember thinking as well, to see the effect, like with a magazine. I wanted people to really read it and enjoy it, but I never saw them enjoying it, right?
That's right, yeah.
But with DJing, you instantly see if you're good or not. If you're shit, no one's going to dance, and if you're great, everyone's going to want to marry you. You know what I mean? And the same as a performer, isn't it?
Yeah, totally.
It's like that instant reaction is what I think I wanted.
Yeah.
And to get that, and there's nothing like rocking the fucking party, isn't it? There's nothing
totally,
like that.
Dude. It's the best.
It's
nirvana.
And if you're getting paid $100,000 or doing it for free, it's nothing to do with the money.
No, it's more armor for your kind of...
Yeah, and don't you feel like after a thing, like I kind of got into the mindset of like every time you do a gig, you just get better as
That's right.
you just get better.
Yeah.
And if you fuck up, that's a lesson.
Yeah. It's your chops. You're cutting your chops every night.
It's your chops, isn't it?
Yeah.
And seeing that and feeling that, it's just the greatest thing in the world, isn't it?
Yeah, totally.
And I can't get enough of it.
Yeah. Your catalogue, the things that you've done and your accomplishments, I mean, these fall back months, like literally to regular turn up moments in the month where you've got, well, this is a podcast, this is a playlist, this is a mix, this is for Radio 1, this is like you've been all over the shop doing that cutting the chops thing, the repetition of that, that garners success.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Constant, especially nowadays, it's like we were saying before. Constant material out, consistency. And then try and make something good as well.
Yeah.
And it's like you can put out shit even if you put out, I think the level, the standard of of shit now is lower. And it's just all about the consistency of it.
Yeah, there isn't. It's really hard to make a shit tune with what's going on out there, isn't it? Really, if you've
not even that. It's like, can you imagine? Like back in the day, like we've got 2 mics here that we're being recorded here.
Yeah.
In your lab, right? Raw dog, right? Somebody's watching this. They're not looking at the production values.
No.
Right?
Nah.
You know what I mean? And in fact,
if they did, I'd be in trouble.
Yeah.
I'd be in trouble.
But like, who cares about the production values now?
Yeah, man.
You know what I mean?
No one cares. No one cares because people haven't got time. It would go over their heads if it was too, bells and whistles. Not necessarily this, but on every level. Like people are so like selfie.
Yes, yeah. The more, actually, the less. Now it's done secretly, isn't it? So it's like you can touch yourself up with the Instagram, you can make yourself look beautiful with the Photoshop, but you have to make it still look raw. Like it's still like, hey man, I'm just here.
I'm casual. Yeah.
I'm just casual. I'm just here now. That's what it is. Yeah. That's where the techniques happen now. I think.
And with your with all your different media platforms, and I said this earlier to you, what's really interesting is your ability to, like, for instance, your Instagram, your merchandise, the things that you do.
Yeah.
I can't always tell whether it's bona fide or it's just a play on a design, or and I kind of like that. Yeah. I like that. It's like you're challenging people.
Well, it's like a ninja, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like when they started wanting to book Jaguar Skills as a fucking DJ. It's like, do I just come out just as me, or do I put a fucking mask on, and do I kind of do that thing of where it's like, I mean, it's funny how diversive my mask is to people. Some people think it's really cool. Other people think I'm a fucking joker. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's interesting.
And some people get really upset and get aggressive towards me when I meet them with a mask on.
Threatened.
Very threatened.
Right.
Other people, they find it a bit sexy, Mm-hmm. And it's like the mixture of all of these emotions. So it's interesting. So I've never actually, it was funny. I met Rodigan the other day. I was DJing, and it was for this Brits party.
He remembers you?
Well, yeah, he does, yeah. And he said to me this funny thing, like, the guy from Sony didn't want me to wear my mask, right? So I was like, yeah, I'll do the warm-up slot. Just don't say it's me.
Your name, yeah.
Don't say it's me, I'll just do the warm-up slot. Craig David was after me. And Rodigan came up to me, he was DJing that, and he goes, oh, it's funny, I didn't recognise you without the mask. I was like, wow.
And you know me since I was a kid.
Yeah, no, but and also it's like people I've met with the mask on, they don't know what my real face is like. I've been in clubs when I've met like multiple DJs, they don't know what my face is like.
And how does that feel, like being a part of the Joe public and not being recognised?
It's really interesting.
Because you can go about your business.
Yeah.
That anonymity that Daft Punk has.
Yes. Yeah.
I've never seen a documentary on that. I guess you could relate with that quite a bit.
Yeah. I mean, it's really interesting when you put a mask on, how it changes you and how it changes everybody around you. I could speak to you like this with a mask on. It's funny, like the look, like what? Like when your friend looks at you, they've got a face, right? Their face is what it is.
Yeah.
Right? when you put a mask on, your best mate has got a different face when he looks at you. Yeah. He's a bit scared, or he changes, their face changes. So to have other people look at you in a different way than you're used to, it's real weird.
Did my face change when you put it on?
Well, everyone's like, oh.
Yeah. Because I must admit, when I started talking with this, I was like, oh, I've forgotten, man. I've got to fucking not, because they're not going to see my expressions or nothing.
Yes.
Next thing we don't know who's talking to who.
So can you imagine then, like, you're meeting me in a club, I'm DJing before you, I'm jumping up and down, I've got a mask on, you don't know who I am, right? Mm. You can't really read my expression.
Totally.
I'm shouting, like, hey, what's up, man?
And they can't see your mouth going.
And they're either going to go,
right.
I fucking hate you, or, yo, what up? Like, go with it. Go with the theatre. Mm. You don't know what they're going to do. So certain DJs fucking just step to me.
Yeah, tell me them. Who? Not necessarily the name specifically, but give me an example of one DJ that you were just like weren't expecting them to like go off in that direction.
I've had DJs. I've had DJs who I didn't think would like me really fucking like me. Mm. I've had guys who I thought that you were my friend, and then suddenly, like, everybody's got this thing about masked DJs, right? That somehow you're a masked DJ, it's some sort of gimmick, or that you whack, right?
Right.
Oh, he needs a mask to do. Like, I don't know what the kind of reasoning is, but there's a lot of like guys online who will go, fucking masked DJs, what's it fucking come to? Push button fucking masked DJ.
That bother you when people say?
No, when I if it's like if I ever reply, they always go, no, Jag, not you.
Okay.
Passive
aggressive kind of attitude.
But it's more like kind of like DJ snobbery is interesting. Because like a lot of DJs think they're the fucking gods of this world. When you're not.
Yeah.
You know, it's the music.
Yeah.
The music's timeless, and you've put some music on that everybody likes, right?
Yeah.
Fucking brilliant, and you're very lucky to be in that position, and that's the best thing in the world, right?
Yeah.
I find that the best thing in the world.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if I can manipulate the music so it excites you in the way that I kind of sequence it and put it together, the way that I fucked with it, if that excites you, then that's brilliant for me, right? So I'm creating a mosh pit over there, right? And I know that it's going to get bigger in one more. I know the next song is going to fucking make you go bananas.
Yeah.
I know the next song's going to then make you calm down. You're controlling this crowd, right? But it's the music ultimately. Maybe it's the way that you do it, but like, I don't know. I'm on a thing of like, they forget like that it's not nothing. But you get paid a lot of money, so don't fucking moan. That's the thing.
Performance, make it something that people go away remembering as being.
Not even that. It's like look, like I mean, I'm one of these guys who looks at the crowd and jumps up and down, right? And I like everybody. I like controlling the crowd, right? Some DJs they just look down, right?
Yeah.
They never look at the crowd. Up to you, whatever you want to do. But don't fucking moan online. Oh, this DJ before me, you know, he was fucking... Oh, he didn't fucking spin that back properly when they asked for a wheel up. Fuck off, man.
Yeah,
like, that mix was a clanger. Like, fuck off.
Yeah.
Who gives a fuck, man?
Yeah.
Like, who are you trying to prove? Who gives a fuck? He could be fucking wearing a dress with a clown's mask on, like, and a fucking wig. Like, I don't really get what the problem is.
Yeah, I feel that.
You know what I mean?
Like, same with beatboxing, dude. Same with beatboxing back.
I guess it's the same.
Yeah, same sort of thing. And if it's any consolation, you know, I DJs as well. I'm beatbox, and a lot of DJs. Sometimes I always get the impression that, you know, I'm not validated enough to be, even though I've done stuff DJ wise for years with DMC. It's almost like a sudden problem that to integrate and do the two things. I can feel that.
What's that about?
I don't know, and it is a mad one, isn't it?
There was this one guy online who was like, I remember when there was no masked DJs, no one was jumping up and down, No one asked to have their hands in the air. And the DJ would lean over and select a vinyl and put it on. And that was all he was worrying about, selecting the vinyl. I remember the good old days when it was just the selecting
Good
a
old
vinyl.
days.
Right? What was it
God.
like?
What day was that?
I remember
You know what I mean?
when if you had CDJs, you were a joker, right?
Yeah, totally.
You're absolute joker.
All of a sudden,
right?
that was a big problem, wasn't it?
Like you're a big problem. If you're a loser. You know, then you have vinyl, right? Before that, right?
Yeah.
Which I still use, by the way. Right?
Yeah.
Just like to keep it real like that, but not even that. Because really keeping it real would be using a live band.
Yeah. If you're
Right?
going to take it back.
Yeah, but then before that, the live band, you would be using some sort of drum and smoke signal vibe. Because they're keeping it more real, aren't they? Because I'm sick of these fucking live bands.
Yeah.
I want the smoke signal drum business.
Yeah. Totally.
Then before that, what were you doing? You were clapping, right? And it's like a cappella stuff, right?
Yeah.
That's the real shit.
Go.
You know, like kids nowadays learning to be DJs. You don't have to learn fucking how to mix some vinyls.
Nothing, man.
Are you fucking nuts? Like, not even like CDJs. Why do you need to even learn about that?
Yeah.
Like, fucking use the technology.
Just use it. Run
Use
with
it and flip it.
Yeah, I
And
completely agree.
like the whole sync button fucking thing. Like, there was a very fucking famous turntablist DJ. I was next to him, he was DJing, and he had the sync button on, right? And I was like, yo, do you use a sync button on on Tractor? He was using this system, right? Tractor. He goes, yeah, I know how to mix. That was his answer.
Yeah.
And it was like,
Yeah.
oh shit, you do know how to mix. So why? It's a pain in the ass to mix. Like, the reason why the DJ wasn't doing anything is because he's trying to fucking beat match this thing that isn't working.
Yeah. So therefore, he's not communicating with the crowd.
Well, like, why? Yeah. So, like, why do you need to fucking not use these technology that's available?
I totally feel that. Particularly as a front man or MC of an artist, you need to be able to connect with that audience because you want them to feel like, okay, there's some skill set there. Everyone knows a skill set, but you want to be able to give them an experience. I believe that, that's my
Of course. Learn your basics, right?
Yeah, man. Totally.
But then use the technology to kind of make it better and have a better show. Like, like people would go on about Daft Punk, it's a pre-mixed set or whatever. Like, there's certain DJs where they're talking about pre-mixed sets or whatever. They interviewed them and he was like, why would you ever pre-mix something? That's the fun.
Yeah.
You're taking the fun out of all of this other shit. Boring, man. It's like difficult and boring coming up with doing this. Like, the main fun is the actual DJing.
Yeah.
And why take that live quality away? But if there's technology to make you have more fun, you can use that, right?
Totally, dude. Totally. I couldn't agree more.
Because there's so much cool shit you can do now.
And it's the future. I mean, like, just going back to what you were saying about the kind of purist attitude of maybe a lot of house DJs or hip hop heads back in the day. Nowadays, it's so mixed genre, and people don't. And I think it's through technology that it kind of garnered that. You're allowed to do that. You're allowed to mix and come, and that's kind of where it brings you up to speed and in a relevant light, because you're doing that. You're crossing genres. It's dubstep, it's drum and bass, and you're doing it with technology, and you're doing it with cut and paste. The throwback stuff that you did back in the day, it's now more kind of relevant than ever.
Yeah, just because I think it's because you don't have to go to a record shop anymore, buy records, right? You had to physically go to a certain style of record shop, go in the hip hop record shop, buy your hip hop records, right?
Yeah.
And like that was a whole fucking mission, and it's pretty I was kind of scared going into certain shops sometimes.
Believe me.
Right, you would have the guys working behind the counter.
The guys behind the counter.
Like crazy hardcore, and almost like doorman.
Yeah, totally.
And they would sell you what they want to sell you almost.
Yeah.
And being a little kid in a record shop with all these other guys coming in, it was a real place, wasn't it? It was amazing, right?
I've never thought of it like that, but it's so true because there would always be older cats, and they'd be friends with the guys.
Yeah.
But these are the gatekeepers of all the new music.
Yeah.
And you've got £12. You've got £6 for one and £6 for another. What records am I going to get?
Yeah.
And you're kind of on your ones, aren't you?
Yeah, and you would walk in, and after a while, they'd know who you are. You would say hello to them, but they wouldn't say hello back.
Always. Oh my God.
They'd go, yeah, what's up?
Yeah.
And then it could be an empty store, and you are there.
Still not saying anything.
And they're still not like going to you. It's what do you want? Here's the new shit. Yeah. It's like, so like to make friends, that was the first step, isn't it? If you're a real head to make. I really got to a point where I could walk into pretty much all the ones in the West End, and everyone would be like, yo, what's up?
Yeah.
It actually got to a point where they had a stack of shit for me. We know you were coming in and we got you this, and this.
Nice.
That was amazing.
Yeah.
But like to get to that point, it was crazy. So you'd like, and it'd be like £12 each, right?
Yeah, totally.
2 songs.
Yeah.
One song, 12 quid, right? Import.
If you're lucky, it was £6 to £8. But I remember the albums were coming in at 15 to 17 or something.
Yeah. But the 12s, right? What were the 12s? They were like 12 quid, right?
Yeah, I only wanted one song.
one song, right? And then you would have to come in on the Friday morning because they had the things and you're too late on a Saturday.
Yeah.
Coming on the Friday because that's when or the Thursday night or whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
And so you had 2 songs, right? And then you would go home and you would listen to like a radio show, Westwood radio show on a Friday
Go on,
night.
do it.
Right?
No, baby.
So you'd listen to that, and then you'd listen to your records, and then you would read the Source magazine. That's it, right? For the hip hop head. But like, you would never go. Like the drum and bass heads, they had to do that with their drum and bass stores, right? Didn't they?
Yes.
And the house guys you had to go to Unity Records.
That's it.
And be upstairs with all the house guys.
Yeah.
I used to go downstairs with the hip hop. But it was very close little communities. And not many, you didn't interact really. You didn't really know the heads.
Not at all, yeah.
And it's like the heads knew each other, like you knew each other on the scene. It was real small.
So that was another level of kind of pecking order.
Yeah.
Wasn't it? So you've got the shopkeepers themselves, but then there's the other pecking order of who's the boss and who's got the records.
And like the DJs, the big DJs that would come in, and then don't come in. Westwood's coming in now. It's time to get the fuck out the shop.
Yeah.
Or like certain other DJs, or the guys behind the scenes, they're big DJs now.
Hierarchies, man.
Yeah. All these crazy kind of tribal hierarchies and shit. But then, when you could buy it online, and when you had an iPod, and you could listen to your guilty pleasures, and you could listen to like your house music and your house and everything, you didn't have to go to a store. You put it on shuffle, right? You might get a hip hop record, you might get a fucking house record, you might get this
reggae
record.
anything.
And now everyone's growing up like that.
Wow, yeah, I never thought it like that. It's true.
I don't know. I'm just thinking like, and now so the space is there to have like, because you never had a multi-format DJ, did you, back in the day?
No, imagine that. I mean,
imagine that, the old
it'd be on
hip-hop
daytime, like a Joe Wiley, but it wouldn't be like a genre that would just... Do you remember when DJ Riz used to do a couple of interesting
He used to
things?
do 80s shit, right?
Yeah, he used to flip 80s into his mixes.
Yeah, he used to cut up 80s stuff.
That's right, yeah.
That was amazing.
Yeah.
I guess. But it's funny though, hip-hop though, that's how it started though.
Yeah, back like that.
Yeah, that's how it actually started. You'd just be like, are you allowed to say Bambaata's name anymore? I don't think you are you?
Yeah, I don't. You can do.
Yeah, I know.
I'll double check on the comments afterwards, and I'll just have to go back and edit it. I'll do beatbox sounds.
Yeah. I don't know if you're gonna. He's disgusting now. Isn't he?
I was hanging out with Todd Terry like about 4 months ago, and he was saying to me that because he's predominantly like house, but he grew up on hip hop.
Yeah,
that was his thing, and he was telling me all the time, like he was at some of the original jams back in the day, like the original jams, and he was like, man, they never used to, Lord Finesse wishes he could play house music, and he's the same, and Todd Terry's the same with hip hop, but back in the day, you used to be able to merge, you used to be able to have disco.
Yeah, because That's where it came from, man.
Yeah.
It came from the disco.
Yeah, that's right.
So the hip hop came from the disco era. And it came from the funk era and the break beats and all of that.
Yeah,
and you just, you know, like one of the famous break beats is the Mickey Mouse Club, it's called. And it's got this drum break in the middle, really famous one. But if you hear the Mickey Mouse song, it's like Mickey Mouse Club, and like this, you can scratch it, right? And it was like hip hop would take shit from the weirdest places, and if there's a groove, you'd use it, sample it. That's where it came from. Like it changed when obviously the drum machines and all that started coming out. That was even pre, but when they started using that, but at the start they rapped over disco breakbeats. You know, Sugar Hill Gang and all of that. It's all disco, right? It's all like Chic and Nile Rodgers.
Which is so ingrained in our music culture. You don't actually recognise it as being. It's no genre really. It's just like, well, that's them rapping over that. It's not. It's its own thing, isn't it? You know.
Yeah. So that's what I started really getting into when I started DJing like properly. It was like, what's the history of DJing? And who actually did first records? And it wasn't any hip hop guys. It was the disco guys.
That's right.
You know, like David Mancuso from The Loft. And there's another couple of other dudes as well. Larry Levan.
Wow. Okay.
Right? These guys would take... Because before, like, playing records, you would only play records when the band... It was a cheaper way to play music. You know what I mean?
Like skiffle was for jazz musicians half time.
Yeah, it's like you'd have to pay a band. I have to pay a fucking band to come in and play music at this place. Like, I'm going to put a record on.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
It's much cheaper. But, you know, when that kind of vibe started, when the funk records, when they worked out that you could play a percussion-based record and people would dance more, that's when it started changing. That's what they were starting mixing. So you'd have old funk records with like early disco records, early shit, and it had a kind of 4/4 beat to it, and that's how it kind of started.
Dude, that's why some of the old school guys get a little bee in their bonnet when you talk about DJing, because it's like they literally undercut them for their money, and they the one man DJing would take out a whole club night back in the days. We'll still do now.
And not get paid anything.
Yeah.
I mean, I can see where the beef comes from, certain things.
Yeah.
It's like if you've been DJing for so long and then some motherfucker with a mask appears and gets paid 20 grand for a 5-minute set of a pre-mixed thing. It's like, yeah, I can understand where it's like, oh, okay.
Or rock up with not even a USB stick. You just get on the mic and do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Same
I can see where the beef is.
Yeah.
And I guess that happens with all types of shit.
Yeah. But what about the future? What are you up to? What's going on?
I've got lots of music coming out. I put out some drum and bass stuff.
Yeah, I heard it. It's dope.
Gnarly kind of shit.
Heavy, yeah.
Then I've made some kind of... I'm really into like this bass line shit at the moment. They call it bass. I don't know. It's kind of like dubstep with a 4/4 beat to it.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's like what kind of champagne drippy kind of thing?
No, it's just stuff like there's guys. I mean, there's people called guys like Dark Seat and Skepsis and Bass Boy and Shapes and Four.
I know Shapes. Okay.
These guys are making kind of garage-based, gnarly house music with like drum and bass kind of influence. Really,
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Really cool. They used to call it bassline house like 10 years ago, but now it's got this kind of new level of exciting kind of shit going on. And like, I've always kind of leant towards that more than just kind of regular house music.
More aggressive.
Slightly more aggressive, slightly more... You know when we were talking about Public Enemy and the Bomb Squad and shit?
Same vibe, yeah.
It's like... Any music that gives me that vibe, I like.
Yeah. Music with balls.
Yeah, or just with some sort of fucking some sort of. I love all types of music, to be honest. But when I DJ, that's the type of shit I go for. Kind of more gnarly shit. So like, I made an EP. I think I'm going to get that signed to. There's a couple of labels that are interested, And then I've made a hip hop album with a pretty famous MC, like UK MC who hasn't done stuff for ages.
Is this an we can't mention?
No, not really yet, but
Amazing. I'm looking forward to this.
that's really exciting. And then I'm going to put out some kind of summary things as well. And I've got this t-shirt label called Nope 23 that I'm going to start doing t-shirts as well,
Right.
like merch and shit.
You still doing the Jaguar Skills and Friends events?
Yeah, I'm going to be doing that this year as well.
Wicked.
I've been really focusing on studio stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, and then
Backing it up, getting a stockpile together.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I've got
Well,
a
I've
lot-
heard some of them beats. You sent some stuff.
Yeah, a lot of bangers. We've got a track actually.
Nice.
So, but sometimes I think, what's the way, man? Is it to release records yourself, or is it to kind of release it on a label?
Relentless. Just be relentless. Just keep. You know what I mean? It's like Suicide Boys. You know these guys?
Yeah.
They put.
Fat Nick and them.
Yeah, Maya, the American Cats.
Yeah.
Maya is their European DJ, the guy that was on the last podcast.
The French dude.
Yeah. He was telling me the other night when we went to see him that they put out over 200 songs in the space of like 6 months. And that's what got that's what raised their profile. Maybe even
What,
more.
SoundCloud?
Yeah, just throwing. It's just like a song a day almost. And it's like, it got me thinking. I was like, man, if that is the standard turnaround to get that profile up, then so be it. You just got to stockpile it, get him out.
Yeah. You can't be too precious nowadays, can you?
You can't be. And even if even your weakest song, they used to, was it You're Only As Good As Your Last album? That turned into You're Only As Good As Your Last song, and it's not that no more. It's just get the thing out. Get it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
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 And on that note,
Yeah, man.
ladies and gentlemen, this is the mighty Jaguar Skills. This is your host, Killa. We're outletting was out of fashion. Stay lucky and watch out for the ninja. He's around. He will come and get you.
Peace.
Stay lucky.